Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about artificial intelligence and automation, two topics that are deeply intertwined. To discuss that, I'm joined by Bharat Sandhu, Senior Vice President, Application Development and AI at SAP. Bharat, happy Friday to you, and thanks for joining us today.
A very happy Friday and great to be here, James. Thank you for
Great.
having me.
So, obviously, artificial intelligence has seen an enormous amount of interest and investment in the last several months. Ever since ChatGPT debuted in November of 2022,
Yeah.
it almost feels like a semi frenzy in terms of AI. Of course, AI is not really new. Companies have been investing in it for years, but now it seems like there's a new, extreme, hyper interest in it. What trends do you see moving moving the industry now that there's a sort of hyper frenzy going on?
Yeah, I think it's always like fascinating to get attention and it comes in cycles. You might remember back in the day when Siri first came out, people were pretty excited about talking to a phone, right? And talking to
Right, right, right.
And then if you follow like Shaw Ice and even Tay from Microsoft back in the day, one of the things about humans is we're just curious by nature and
Hmm.
we want to learn and we love to like communicate. And when we have a new breakthrough like an AI we've had with ChatGPT, which allows us to kind of itch, like scratch our itch for both curiosity and
Hmm.
talk, is very fascinating. That's why we kind of seen so much hype and so much like just people, anybody and everybody now talking about AI in a tangible way in a
Right.
chat GPT, right? So I think that's what fueling the frenzy. It will also, I think, over time, come down and go up again. And that's normal. But the good thing though is it's made AI mainstream like never before. AI has always been a topic that's been hard to kind of comprehend before. It's like, oh yeah, this AI, and there's some data science teams maybe use it, even though frankly, everybody uses it every single day. Like
Right.
for Uber, for example, if you order a ride, that's using AI to match you with a ride driver and so forth, right? So,
Mhm.
but it just made AI, I think, much more top of mind conversation for everybody recently.
Do you feel, being in the enterprise as you do and being so closely tied to the sector that there's a sense among companies like, oh goodness, we know of AI, we knew of AI before, but now we need to really get on the bandwagon?
Yeah.
Or is it a sense like, well, budgets can be allocated 1 to 3 years in advance, so it's not really quite the spending frenzy that we might think?
No, look, I think every organization, every like, and all the leaders and organizations right now are always, by the way, looking to see how they can run the business better. And AI is really forcing them, in particular, the really latest frenzy on AI is really forcing them to think how faster they can move forward. Now, let's be honest, right? Companies have been doing AI for a long time. Some more advanced companies have been doing it much better. But even like more mainstream companies have been doing AI for a long time. The issue has always been is it's been limited to the expertise they can have in-house from data science teams and machine learning engineers, or the ones they can get through the partners and consultants or other vendors.
Mhm.
And now companies are saying, hey, can we do it faster because it's maybe easier for more people to actually build around AI? And more importantly, will this new generation of AI, generative AI, really transform and impact my business in a big way that I need to be ready for or I take advantage of? Because nobody wants to be left behind. And
Mhm.
right now, a lot of people are saying, hey, am I going to gain a competitive edge or I'm going to lose a competitive edge? So that's really fueling a lot of, I would say, renewed interest in applying and deploying AI at a much broader scale than before.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you make a really good point in that companies have been well aware of AI, and I think companies have been investing in it. It's not really new as it seems. But I think companies have sometimes been frustrated with it because it's been expensive and
Yeah.
maybe they're not sure what they want to do. And I think in some cases there have been some expensive science
Yeah.
experiments, so to speak. They've tried it and they spent a lot of money and it was like, I'm not sure we've got out of that. So, I mean, what advice would you give companies in terms of optimizing their AI strategy or really the AI and automation strategy?
Yeah. Look, as much as there's interest in hype, but like in any other project investment, let's always start with the business outcome and a clear business solution setup. So there are three things we always look at when we work with customers, and SAP have a unique approach. We can cover that later on, but basically any customer working with anybody should be looking at three things. One is instead of looking at technology for the sake of technology, that they should do all the time anyway to make sure they're staying competitive. But
Mhm.
when it comes to applying, they first need to have a clear identification of the business problem that needs to get solved and the potential area. That is where a lot of science projects don't even start because they start having technology let me try to find a use for it, versus
Mhm.
I have a real business problem here, or I anticipate a real business problem here, and maybe AI can help. Second, getting the right set of stakeholders is super important. It is not just a data science team. It's actually, most importantly, also the business team that will be using it, or the organization that will be using it, and getting stakeholders up front.
Mhm.
And this is an area where people always struggle, because the data science teams will always explain about models and data drift and all these terms which people have a hard time understanding. So you really need the third thing, that somebody or a team that can translate business and technology and do the bridge. So
Mhm.
start with the business, and it sounds very normal, but frankly, this is actually the rigor of this approach is very important. What is the business impact, business problem we need to solve? Can AI help here? Then how will we roll out, test it and roll it out? And any technology adoption, whether AI or not, the end users who have to use it have to be involved up front, not at the end, because
Mhm.
otherwise you'll have no adoption and things will be stuck in an experiment all the time. So those will be the biggest things. The one last advice I would just have is, uh, this is an area where customers have to develop expertise and depth also in. They cannot outsource the knowledge that they should have. They should
Mhm.
have their own in-depth understanding of AI. They should have teams that
Mhm.
understand the space, because this is not a thing that you just want to always outsource. It's an inherent capability you want to develop, just like you develop any other inherent capabilities of running supply chains. So you want to have that in-house point of view all the time also. And the reason being, you'll be less reliant on a vendor or a partner or a supplier from providing the point of view. And of course, analysts should be leveraged left and right. But the second thing is also, nobody knows your business as good as you.
Mhm.
The longer you do it, the better you'll get at it.
No, I think
Hopefully
it's a
that makes
really
sense.
it's a really important point. The companies, as confusing as the technology is, and I think AI is more confusing than earlier technology. It's just more complicated than cloud. It's more complicated than data centers, to be sure. So I think companies have maybe lagged behind in terms of really having that in-house expertise. But I see the importance of it. The other point you made that I think is so interesting is that there needs to be someone there who's a bridge between the technology and the business. And I think those people can be rare, because there's executives have a lot of business knowledge perhaps, and there's the IT folks who really know the technology. Finding that individual with a bridge is harder to do. I don't know. I'm not sure. My question is, I think it's like, how does a company find that person? Maybe
You
they grow
know,
that person in house.
it's very funny. Like the back in the day when business intelligence was the the big
Right.
thing.
Right.
Uh, there was there are armies of business analysts. That's what they do mostly, right? That they understand the business problem, they understand technology good enough, and they're able to translate it. Here, we don't need. We need really that kind of thinking and that kind
Mhm.
of knowledge applied here.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that is the most important thing. Now, there are a lot of technologies that are making it easier also for the technical translation to be done. Actually, generative AI is already being used to explain some of these things. But I think really the business analyst kind of mindset and that team can be easily adapted. And
Mm.
most companies have business analysts in their organizations.
Right.
But there's a little bit of training required. There's a little bit of required, but that I would recommend people start there.
Well, let's drill down to the SAP product offering.
Yeah.
Obviously, SAP has many large enterprise clients. How is SAP addressing the AI and automation needs of its customers? What is it
Yeah.
doing in terms of its
Yeah.
product line?
Yeah. At SAP, we have a pretty straightforward thing, right? We, at the end of the day, are a business applications company. We're an ERP company, and we help customers run their supply chain, finance, and HR, and you name it, these mission critical business systems.
Mhm.
So when it comes to AI, we have a very clear and straightforward AI approach, which is we are a business AI company. Let me explain what that means. Um, and I came from Microsoft previous with my previous role. There, we were a generic purpose Azure as a generic platform,
Okay.
and it's an awesome platform. And AWS has an awesome platform, and GCP has a great platform. At
Sure.
SAP, what we do is we work with the best AI technologies in the world. We combine that with our 50 years of data and knowledge in every single industry and customer data, and we bake it into our solutions. So customers can access our AI capabilities and our finance, supply chain, procurement solutions without having to spin up data science teams. They get it from day one. It's really relevant for the various industries, whether it's recruiting, where you're trying to find talent, where you're writing job descriptions in a compelling fashion, where you're trying to do interviews and you're trying to have audit generated interview questions, so you make sure you can get the best interview candidates in, or actually closing books faster. which is like, you have multiple organizations that are closing books in a bigger company, but they all need to reconcile using AI to match automation or payments automatically, and so forth, right? We have like literally like hundreds of use cases in our capabilities that are out of the box. So with SAP, our approach is business AI, which means we give our customers built-in business AI capabilities and the applications they use all out of the box every single day. It's relevant for their industry and the business because that's how we train the data. And it's built in a highly responsible and trusted fashion. And there's always human in the loop, so you can be deployed with confidence. What we do with AI is basically enable customers to deploy AI at scale without requiring extensive armies of data science teams and solve the most mission critical business problems.
Interesting. Okay, so SAP is offering the technology, but also I'm assuming also offering like a consulting role as well.
The good thing about our technology is we make sure our customers don't have to worry about what AI model needs to be used. We take care of that in our applications. So it's really out of the box that customers get access to it. So even you don't need consulting teams also, by the way. Now, we, of course, provide business consulting. That's because our customers, we work with them on literally running their finance operation and the supply chain. So there's a lot of like business consulting that happens with that. So as part of that, we do that, but you don't need, and of course, we have technical teams that can help with custom AI deployment also. But our goal actually at the end of the day is when, for instance, somebody's deploying a supply chain solution and they have trucks rolling in every day with widgets coming into the factory.
Right.
The documents that the truck delivery, it says that I delivered these 1,000 widgets. Right now, people have to manually enter them. What we've done is digitize all that thing automatically. You scan a document, it goes in automatically in any language, in any template. We use generative AI for this. And then we take it out of the loop. So no technical consulting required. It's literally part of our supply chain solution.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's actually what I find really fascinating when I connect with customers, because you know what? We're not talking about deep AI concepts with them. We're talking about business problems. It's like, hey, this is all built in, right? And where we need to do custom, we can do custom. But that, like with any custom work, takes a little bit longer.
Interesting. Is there one? I don't know if this question can be answered. If not, we can skip it. But I think the interesting question is there a more typical use for AI among those large enterprise clients? Is like typically this is the default thing that they do first with AI, or not necessarily? It's gonna vary so much.
No, it's very varied. But I'll tell you the most common usage patterns we see. So one is like in finance, it's really helping you use AI to close books faster. Right. So what do accounting teams do basically in a bigger company? They literally say, I have so many invoices, I have all these IOs and supplier codes, I need to match all this stuff up. That's a really great machine learning problem. Because I have a bunch of invoices coming in emails, I need to match them and close them out and everything else. Right. Swiss Rail is a company, they process 1 million payments, I think every year, or even faster. They match 99% of them using AI. And nobody manually has to go in and have to say, okay, this thing matches here. I need to extract this price point or this payment and put it in this line item here. We do it automatically, right? In supply chain and procurement, let me say, when customers are looking, we have a huge business network, which basically is a network of suppliers and customers together. So when customers are looking to say, I need to buy a new widget, I'm looking for a new supplier. We help customers say, what are you looking for? And then we use AI to recommend suppliers. And then when they're building an RFI, we say, these are the questions you might want to ask, right? So in procurement, and then once customers start working with the supplier, onboarding of suppliers, all AI assisted also. So those are the other areas, right? The other thing we announced recently was the SAP Digital Assistant, which is like saying, I want to create a sales order from a PDF. How do I do it? And it does it for you. It helps you walk you through it, right? But helping engage more from a UX perspective with the business applications is a very, very common way that the customers are doing it. But literally, it depends on the department. And the most common use cases, that's what we put AI to use. Oftentimes it's transparent. Customers don't even know AI is being used.
Right. But it is helping. It's streamlining processes.
Yeah.
I think the big question that companies are curious about is, what is the future of AI and automation in the enterprise? I mean, it's like, it's a very open-ended question. It seems like with generative AI, I think it's going to go in any number of directions. Yeah. What do you predict over the next a couple of years or so?
Look, I'll start with a very grounded reality where we are right now, and then I'll get into more like where I hope we can get to as an industry.
Okay.
Today, most customers have silos of disconnected systems. And there will no one company will run on one vendor ever. Mm-hmm. And they shouldn't. They have different technologies for different things. But for complete automation, you need to have a very connected ecosystem. So first, I think a step right now, which the customers are doing really well already, which is more in higher maturity, is integrating their various systems and business systems together, right? Mm-hmm. We're using whatever solutions at SAP or a solution integration suite for that. But that is where the higher maturity is right now. So that's good. The second thing now is automating processes that span multiple systems. Right. Because then you cannot use just embedded AI in one solution. You have to use literally connect the different systems and automate them across. So there is a concept of enterprise automation, which is really using process insights and using AI to really understand where the process bottlenecks happening that touch multiple systems. And not just doing it up front, but actually doing it all the time. So we have an amazing offering called Signavia that enables customers to do process mining in a continuous process. Then based on those insights, you want to trigger automations all the time. For example, I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. At the end of the quarter, let's say in the company, there is a ton of sales order that need to be processed. The discounting rules need to be relaxed. Right. And instead of getting a manual check every single time, it needs to be automated all the time. But we can predict, or we can actually measure if the sales approval backlog is increasing. And if that happens at the end of the quarter and some conditions are met, we should automatically approve these things, right? So creating these enterprise automation systems is the next step. Now that we've integrated these things, I see that happening. And over time, AI also then starts working across multiple systems in an automated fashion. So that's where I really see the evolution of an AI-based automation system happening, which is it's more proactive and is more proactive across the customer's unique needs. And it truly becomes an assistant and helps customers augment their business systems.
So artificial intelligence becomes this sort of super intelligence that combines the enterprise silos and silos and it gets them all working in concert, among other things.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't call it super intelligent, but it's just more tuned to every business specific characteristics. Mm-hmm. Like a manufacturing in China would be pretty different than a retail operator in Europe, but would it not be nice as AI technology evolves, as we connect all these systems, because we already able to do that, but then AI then becomes much more fine-tuned to each of these solutions, industries, and there's not a lot of work that needs to be done. This is super far out, but think of a personal digital assistant for the business.
Uh-huh. I guess that's the key phrase, the personal digital assistant for the business. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Like if you look at all the sci-fi movies, right, the personal digital assistant that works really well for us personally is the one that know us.
Right.
The ones that will work best for the business are the ones that know the business systems the best, and that's frankly where we're investing as a company at SAP.
Right, that's fascinating. It's a lot of good stuff, and I think it's going to be a fascinating sector to watch in the years ahead. And certainly, the enterprise users are flocking artificial intelligence. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise today, and I hope you come back and talk with us again sometime.
Yeah, likewise, James. Thank you so much.